All right, so you sent in this Infinity War review,
Okay.
and it sounds like it really got you thinking, which is
Yeah.
perfect for a deep dive.
Right.
We're going to explore all those juicy details, the characters, the big questions the movie asks,
Yeah.
and even some of those head-scratching inconsistencies that you pointed out.
Okay, cool.
So buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, Infinity War really does make you think, doesn't it? It's crazy how it gets you thinking about these philosophical things, but it's still like a superhero movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with Thanos,
Okay.
the big bad himself.
Right.
Um, your review calls him more than just your typical, mustache-twirling villain.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
Well, it's interesting because the movie makes him out to be almost like an anti-hero,
Yeah.
Like he's driven by this idea that he's saving the universe.
Right.
Eliminating half of all life as a twisted act of mercy.
Wow.
Yeah, to prevent suffering from overpopulation and stuff.
Yeah, it's like he's taking this page from, real-world debates,
Right.
about resource scarcity and overpopulation,
Yeah,
but it's, dialed up to 11,
Exactly. Yeah.
But it still makes you wonder, though.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself, even for a second, getting where Thanos was coming from?
Yeah. Well, the movie really makes you think about those questions.
Right.
It's like a giant thought experiment,
Yeah.
about utilitarianism and stuff.
Right.
Can genocide be for the greater good?
Wow.
And it challenges the audience to define, their own moral boundaries,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the review also mentioned how Thanos just steamrolls over the heroes,
Mm-hmm.
especially Hulk.
Right.
What did you make of that whole power imbalance thing? It seemed like a bit of a departure from, previous movies.
Yeah, I mean, in other movies, Hulk just smashes everything.
Right, exactly.
It's a big shift, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might see Hulk being afraid of Thanos as, diminishing his character, but I actually think it highlights just how powerful Thanos is.
Right.
He's terrifying. Throws everything we thought we knew about power in the MCU out the window.
Yeah. It's like the movie is saying this isn't the same old fight.
Right.
Thanos is like a whole other level.
Yeah, he's a whole other level of threat.
What about you, though? Did you feel like Hulk's reaction added something to his character? Or did it feel off?
It's a good question, how would someone as strong as Hulk react to someone like Thanos?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe fear is like a natural response.
Yeah.
It shows a new side of him.
Right.
Makes him more human, I think.
Interesting. Okay. Shifting gears a bit.
Sure.
The review also touches on Thor's journey in Infinity War.
Yeah.
What's your take on his transformation from the more comedic Thor that we saw in Ragnarok
Right.
to the grief-stricken warrior in this film?
It's like a masterclass in showing grief and resilience. I mean, he's lost everything, right? His home, his brother, his people.
Right.
And he still keeps fighting.
It's not just brute force, though.
Yeah.
There's that scene where he forges his new weapon,
Oh, yeah.
Stormbreaker, with Rocket.
It's a great scene.
It's like this little moment of connection
Yeah.
and support
Yeah.
in the middle of all this chaos.
Even when you've lost everything, those little connections can give you strength.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Doctor Strange's decision to hand over the Time Stone.
Oh, boy.
It's like he's playing 5D chess while everyone else is struggling with checkers.
Right.
He sees millions of futures,
Yeah.
and this is the one he chooses.
It's crazy.
What's the deal with that?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
We know he saw something in the future, right? Some way to win.
Yeah.
But the movie doesn't tell us what it is.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. It really makes you think, what could justify giving Thanos exactly what he needs?
Right. It makes you rethink the whole movie.
Yeah, totally.
Was it all part of some plan?
Right.
And what does that say about free will and choice and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real head scratcher.
It is.
But it definitely sets up some interesting possibilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If Strange saw a way to win.
What does that look like?
Yeah, what's the cost?
Right, what's the cost?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that ending,
Oh, yeah.
when Thanos actually does it,
I know.
snaps his fingers, and half of everyone is gone.
It's crazy.
It's one of the biggest moments in all the Marvel movies.
Totally. And, in your review, you mentioned how, the movie doesn't shy away from the emotional impact of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about the big CGI fights and stuff. It's about the individual moments of grief.
Exactly. Yeah, take Gamora's sacrifice.
Oh, man.
That scene is just brutal.
It really is.
Thanos is willing to do anything to reach his goal.
I know.
Even sacrificing someone he loves.
Right. It shows that he's not just pure evil.
Yeah.
Like, he has feelings.
Yeah, he's complex.
Even if they're messed up.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we see Thor just totally losing it.
After he can't stop Thanos.
It's powerful stuff.
You really feel the weight of all those failed expectations.
Totally.
Not just from Thor, but from everyone you know.
Right.
Like, we're all used to the heroes winning.
Yeah.
And this time they just lose.
Totally outmatched.
Speaking of expectations, you also mentioned some inconsistencies.
Oh, yeah.
With, like, the power levels of some of the characters.
Right. Like, why was Hulk so weak against Thanos?
Yeah, that was weird. It's so different from other movies. Right? What was the deal with that?
Yeah, some people might say it was just so Thanos would seem stronger.
Okay.
But I actually think it makes Hulk more interesting.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, it shows that even Hulk can be afraid. He's never seen anything like Thanos before.
Right.
Thanos is just that powerful and scary.
So it humanizes him a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk more about Doctor Strange.
Okay.
You know, in your review, you mentioned his decision to give Thanos the Time Stone. And I know we talked about it a little earlier, but it's such a big moment.
It really is. Yes.
Like, it needs more discussion.
Yeah. It's caused a lot of debate with fans.
So he has the Time Stone.
Yeah.
He can see the future.
Yeah.
And he just gives Thanos the one thing he needs to win.
It doesn't make sense.
What do you think is going on there?
I think it shows how complex Strange is.
Okay.
Like, he's a brilliant strategist.
Right.
But he's also burdened with seeing all these possible futures.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so maybe he saw some path to victory that meant making this sacrifice.
But wouldn't that mean sacrificing half the universe?
Yeah, it's a huge price to pay.
It seems like too much.
And I know.
Even if it does lead to winning in the end.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
Like, what are we willing to sacrifice for the greater good?
Yeah, and how can we ever justify that kind of sacrifice?
These are heavy questions.
They are.
But Infinity War doesn't shy away from them.
No, it doesn't.
It makes you really think about right and wrong and the kind of world we want to live in.
It's what makes it more than just a superhero movie.
Right.
It makes you think and feel, and it sticks with you.
Totally. Speaking of those, like, smaller moments, did you find any of them to be especially powerful?
Oh.
Yeah. Besides the scene with Thor and Rocket, there's that scene with Tony and Pepper.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're talking about the future.
Right.
Maybe having kids and stuff.
Yeah, it shows a different side of Tony.
It really does. It makes him seem more human.
Makes him relatable.
Yeah, even with everything going on in the universe.
Yeah.
He's still grounded by his love for Pepper.
Yeah, and it shows what's at stake for him.
Right.
He's not just fighting for everyone else.
Yeah.
He's fighting for the future he wants with Pepper.
Okay, so Thanos wins the heroes, lose the universe is in shambles.
I know. Talk about a bummer ending.
I know, but what I found really hard to watch was those last moments when people start disappearing.
Oh, yeah, it's rough.
The way they just vanished.
It's so sudden and random.
I know, it really gets you.
Yeah, you really feel how big the loss is.
Like, 1 minute they're there, and the next they're just dusted.
It's crazy.
And it's not just the special effects either.
Right.
The actors are amazing.
Yeah, you can see the fear and confusion in their eyes.
Totally, like Spider-Man clinging to Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Begging him not to let go.
Heartbreaking.
It really shows the human cost of what Thanos did.
Yeah.
He might think he's saving the universe, but he's causing so much pain.
Yeah, and that's what makes him such a great villain.
Right.
He's not just some mindless monster.
Yeah.
He has a reason for what he's doing.
A messed up reason.
A very messed up reason.
But still, it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it makes you think about good and evil.
Right.
Can someone have good intentions but still do terrible things?
It's a tough question.
It is.
And are the heroes right to fight back?
Yeah.
Even if it means using violence themselves.
Yeah, Infinity War makes you think about all of that.
It really does.
And it's still a super entertaining movie.
Right.
Yeah, with amazing special effects.
It's quite a feat.
It is.
But before we move on to those inconsistencies you brought up.
Okay.
Let's take a moment to. All right, so let's dive into those inconsistencies you mentioned in your review.
Okay.
You pointed out a few things that didn't quite add up, you know?
Yeah.
Especially with, like, some of the character choices and the whole power dynamics thing. What really stood out to you?
Well, like, why didn't Doctor Strange use the Time Stone to just rewind everything?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. He could have just, like, prevented Thanos from getting the other stones right.
Exactly. He had the power to change time.
So why not just fix everything?
Right. It's something that a lot of people wonder about.
It does seem kind of weird.
But I think it shows that even the most powerful things have limits.
How so?
Well, maybe there are rules about how you can use the time stone.
Oh.
Like maybe changing some events could really mess up the timeline.
Oh, I see.
Create paradoxes or something.
Right, like unintended consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even with the time stone, you can't just do whatever you want.
So it's not as simple as just hitting rewind.
Nope.
That's interesting. It makes things more complicated.
Definitely. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's not just heroes with unlimited power.
Right. There are limits and consequences.
And tough choices.
Exactly.
It makes you appreciate how the story's put together.
It does, even if there are some things that don't make sense at first.
Right. Okay. What about that other inconsistency you mentioned?
Oh, yeah.
About Thanos getting the Infinity Stones?
Right. It seemed way too easy for him.
Yeah, it kind of felt like the heroes never really stood a chance.
Yeah, some people feel that way.
Like it undermined the stakes or something.
Right. But I think there's another way to look at it.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if it's meant to show just how determined Thanos is? Like, he's unstoppable. Nothing can get in his way.
Like a force of nature.
Exactly.
That makes sense. It emphasizes how tough Thanos is to beat.
Yeah, he's not just powerful. He's also smart and resourceful.
And that makes his win even more significant.
Exactly. He didn't just win because he was stronger.
Yeah.
He won because he was smarter and more ruthless.
So even though there are a few inconsistencies,
Yeah,
they actually make the story better
I think so.
and help us understand the characters more.
Right. Those little details are what make Infinity War so special.
Yeah, they make you stop and think.
Exactly. It's not just an action movie.
It's deeper than that.
It makes you question things and analyze things.
And come up with your own ideas.
Exactly.
That's why you can watch it over and over again.
Yeah, you always notice something new.
New details, new layers of meaning.
It's a movie that keeps on giving.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today.
We have.
From Thanos' crazy logic to Doctor Strange's weird decisions.
And the impact of loss.
Yeah. Infinity War throws a lot at you,
It does.
but it's so well made.
It really is.
It leaves you wanting more.
And that's what makes it great. It makes you think and talk about it.
Yeah, it challenges your ideas.
Yeah. And it stays with you.
So as we wrap up our deep dive,
Yeah.
we encourage you to watch it again
Definitely.
with these new ideas in mind.
Pay attention to the little things.
The inconsistencies.
Yeah, and think about why the characters do what they do.
Infinity War has something for everyone,
It does.
whether you're a casual fan or a diehard.
You might even appreciate those inconsistencies more.
Right, because they make the movie so unique.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.
For another journey into the world of pop culture.